What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA. All right, real quick, before we get started here, I just wanted to say a quick happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. I know I'm a little bit on the late freight, but I just spent all day with my mom hanging out, doing what she wanted to do, and it was a great day. I had a fun time hanging out with mom, with the mothers in my life, friends, family, etc., and so forth. So I hope that you enjoyed the time that you spent with your mother. Very, very important to celebrate all the moms that are out there. Let's go ahead and jump in to this situation on comicbookmovie.com. So we always got to talk about Disney because Disney is often funny with the numbers. Disney never really tells you the whole picture about what's going on with the numbers. When the numbers get reported by Disney, you always got to take them joints with a grain of salt, because you got to wonder, is Disney telling us the full picture, or are they just giving us what they want us to know? And in a lot of cases, Disney's is just telling you what you want to know or what they want you to know. They don't tell you the full picture, and that has been going on lately with all of these box office budgets. You can see right here, Disney tax filings reveal Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness had a gargantuan budget. Yeah, so it took tax filings, all right? It takes tax filings for Disney to tell the real truth. They're not going to just come out and admit if they have some bad numbers and numbers that don't support the stuff that's working for them. They want to always paint themselves in the most positive light, as any company would. I don't necessarily fault Disney for this, but I think what happens is a lot of people get caught up in the numbers game, and they don't say, well, you know, Disney reported these numbers, they must be accurate. Well, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. And a lot of cases we've been seeing lately, especially when it comes to these box office budgets, the numbers that Disney is giving us, you know, you got to look at it. Okay, well, let's dig deep into these numbers. Let's see what these numbers got to say. All right. So in this case right here, we got these UK tax credits. All right. Because they want these UK tax credits, Disney is forced to reveal how much is spent on a production. And in the case of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, they spent north of $400 million. So if you actually were to Google this, all right, and I Googled this, the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness budget, $294.5 million US, all right? Now, this is what Disney reported. This is the numbers Disney gave us. They told us, yeah, $295 million basically is what we spent on Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. That's what we got, all right? Not including marketing and not including all of that stuff. Just the budget for making the movie. Now, why is this number important? Well, it speaks to the profitability. You know, profits is revenue minus expenses. And so this is definitely the biggest expense that they had, you know, when it came to making this film. So now you say, okay, if they spent this much money, you know, we could kind of figure out what it takes for this film to break even, what it takes for this film to get into the black and start bringing home some money in the box office. We could tell based on this number. But if they underreported this number and in reality it's more like $400 million, now you got to start questioning. Like, whoa, hold up. You guys underreported your budget by almost 100 or over $100 million. Yo, what's going on here, Disney? That's why I said you just got to take Disney numbers with a grain of salt. All right, so let's check this out real fast. Released in theaters in May 2nd, 2022, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness marks Sam Raimi's triumphant return to the world of superhero cinema after previously helming Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man trilogy. The film was generally praised by fans and critics alike, on its way to grossing $955.8 million at the global box office. Now, this is what Comic Book Movie is saying, that it was praised. You know, I like Sam Raimi, so there were some Sam Raimi-isms that kind of spoke to me as a Sam Raimi fan in this film that I enjoyed. However, I think that the narrative was disjointed. I think they did some questionable things with the characters. When you watch it a second and a third time, it doesn't really hold up very well. Just kind of a mess. It's kind of a messy movie again. But I do like the Samness in there. Sam has a style that I enjoy. And so a lot of the Sam Raimi stuff, it was kind of solid. However, so here's where we get to it. However, a new report from Forbes raises questions about whether the film was profitable considering its massive budget. So what is the budget? Here's what they said. Previously, it was thought that Disney/Marvel spent $294 million to produce the film. We just saw that, all right? However, tax filings that Disney is required to disclose for productions filmed in the UK have revealed that Marvel spent £331.9 million or $414.9 million on the Doctor Strange sequel. All right, so it looks like Disney underreported this by damn near $120 million, all right? If we were to take this into account, 294.5 to a 414.9, yeah, man, basically these cats is underreporting the hell out of this thing in terms of its budget. And this also says, given that the box office revenue is split 50-50, and like real quick, I just want to acknowledge the fact and thank you, comicbookmovie.com, for actually stating this. You know, a lot of websites just kind of gloss over this information. They'll be like, oh, well, you know, the movie cost $200 million to make, and in the box office, it brought in $205 million and made $5 million. Congratulations, studios, y'all in the black. And it's like, nah, the hell they not, all right? They got to split that money 50-50 with the theater owners, all right? So they said Marvel pocketed, based on Doctor Strange, about $477.9 million after sharing ticket sales with theater owners. And that doesn't include what Marvel spent on print and advertising costs. Yeah, even with this 50-50, you know, that's a rough estimate. That's kind of what we guesstimate, because that doesn't take into account like international. Over on international, it could be a wild difference in how much the international theater owners are asking for, like in China, you know, versus, you know, what, you know, American and, you know, North American theater owners are asking for. You know, that split ain't necessarily 50-50, but it's a good rough estimate. Now, if you take into account the tax credit that they got, all right? The article that we just looked at doesn't cover that, but it's covered here on the original Forbes article. $414.9 million, but then came the $64.3 million tax credit or reimbursement from the UK government, reducing Disney's net spending on the Multiverse of Madness down to $350.6 million. Still not 294.5, right? So they still, you know, again, even with this tax credit, you know, this is how much they actually spent on the movie, $350.6 million. And if you spent that, you got to also take into account, all right, how much did they spend in marketing? How much did they spend on marketing? Did they spend, you know, like $50 million on marketing? Unlikely. $100 million? Likely. Okay. This is a big movie, the big summer movie. They definitely are going to put a lot into making trailers. All right. I think 2 or 3 trailers maybe came out on this. All the TV spots, they got to pay for that shit. All right. They got to pay for the billboards. They got to pay for, you know, magazine ads and everything else, newspaper ads. They got to pay for all of that stuff. So how much did they spend on that for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, a huge movie that they just dropped $350.6 million on? How much did they, you know, actually spend on the advertising? We don't know. Disney, again, that's another cost that they never want to, you know, disclose, because once you know how much they are spending, then it's just about doing math. All right. All right, well, they spent this much on the production of the the production budget. They spent this much on advertising. This is the total spend. All we got to do is double that, and then that's how much we know. Oh, okay, if we double that, we know how much they need to break even. And then you can tell how profitable the film was. And to see, again, Disney, they have every reason in the world to not disclose that information, you know? But see, I'm glad Forbes is here, you know, going over the information on the Multiverse of Madness and how much it costs. Recently, Raimi's name has come up as a potential director for a number of upcoming MCU films, including a sequel to No Way Home and Avengers Secret Wars. But Kevin Feige and company may be a little hesitant, or maybe a bit hesitant, given the high production costs of the Multiverse of Madness. Well, again, that's on Kevin Feige. That ain't got nothing to do with Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi made some low budget. He understands how to make a low budget movie. All right. That's Kevin Feige and them going all to town with crazy special effects and all of that type of shit. So yeah, don't mess with Sam, man. Sam, it ain't Sam's fault. However, in Sam Raimi's defense, filming on the Doctor Strange sequel was delayed due to COVID, and likely that cost Marvel was forced to absorb extra dollars in order to hold on to the sound stages at Longcross Studios, which is just outside London, you know. And they kind of go over all of these giant budgets. Look at these budgets, y'all. All right. How much it costs for all of these films to be made. So they say Infinity War and Endgame, $1.265 billion to make those 2 movies. Now, I think it's fair to say that they've made that money back easily and then some, you know. You know, they more than made their money back with those, because both of those films clocked over $2 billion. You're talking about $4 billion in total revenue. Even if you were to, you know, cut it in half and say, okay, they made $2 billion off of both of these films, they still came in the black. All right. They was cool. But yeah, this Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, 414.9 million. You got to start asking questions. All right. Got to start asking questions. What Marvel is doing, what Disney is doing with this property, spending like these insane budgets, like $328 million for Ant-Man. Really? $302 million for the Eternals? Like, some of these are obvious box office bombs because they barely, like, the Marvels barely even cracked 200 million. So it clearly lost money, you know? But yeah, you start looking at some of these costs and this is like, this is not sustainable, guys. Marvel cannot sustain this type of stuff. And again, this is the reason why they might underreport budgets, because they don't want people to know, hey, we spending all of this money on these movies that really ain't bringing in a lot of money. Because you can do the math yourself. You can guesstimate, okay, they probably spent somewhere in the neighborhood of $100 million in marketing to go along with the budget. And you can figure out exactly how much they need in order to just break even. And we've been doing that. A lot of channels do that. And we can see that these cats, especially last year, they didn't break even on a lot of stuff. A lot of these studios didn't. And so, yeah, this is just, again, to say these budgets are way out of control. You know, Marvel, Disney, these cats need to rein this shit in. It's getting out of control at this point. I mean, good God, man, $400 million on a movie? You know, at that point, you got to make like 1.2 billion, somewhere in that range, just to break even or just to make a little bit of change. And they can't, you know, it's like people ain't going to the movies like that. So I think what we're going to start to see is a lot of these budgets are going to have to come way down in order for these studios to be able to hack it. Going by this list, it's interesting to see just how much of the budget increases from the first entry in the Marvel franchise to future installments. And then, yeah, Bob Iger said, yeah, we're going to start slowing down the output. But, you know, you can slow it down all you want to. If you're still cranking out like ridiculous budgets, it ain't going to really matter. I think people are now at the point where it's like, look, what else you got, Bob? You got something special for me? Because if you don't, I'm not coming to the theaters for this. I'll wait for it to show up on streaming somewhere down the line. It will. But it doesn't feel like, you know, like event programming, like I gotta see this. None of these productions are like that anymore. It's if you had to go to the theater to watch this, you ain't checking for it. I'll catch it on Disney Plus if I have Disney Plus, or if I don't, you know, I'll rent it, I'll bootleg it, or do something else, you know. But anyway, folks, I just thought that this was really interesting. Again, Marvel, Disney, they're constantly doing this type of stuff, over-reporting or under-reporting, I should say, exactly how much it is that they're spending on these projects. And then they just, hey, quiet is kept. Don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. All right. But then, unfortunately, when it comes to the UK, and this is the real big takeaway, all right, because it says it right here in the headlines, all right, or this part, yeah, they were forced to reveal it. They ain't going to do it on their own. So if Disney is reporting information on their own, take that with a grain of salt, all right, as it is with these budgets. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think about this situation. Jump down in the comments. Give me your thoughts and opinions on that. Thanks for watching. See you next time.